Good morning. Welcome to VA-10 Virtual Academy Day for 2021. My name is Anthony Barnes. I have the pleasure of serving as the Service Academy Service Academy Coordinator for Congresswoman Wexton here in Virginia's 10th District. I also serve as the Military and Veterans Affairs Manager for the district office. Today, you're going to have an absolutely wonderful opportunity to hear from our Service Academy Advisory Board, as well as from each of the 5 service academies, including the Coast Guard Academy. To get us started this morning, I'd like to welcome and thank our host today, Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton.
Thank you so much, Anthony, and hello and welcome to everyone joining us virtually this morning for the Virginia 10 Academy Day. I'd like to start by thanking Commander Bill Montgomery, our Service Academy Advisory Board Chair, who's on this event with us. He'll be speaking after I finish my remarks. The entire Service Academy Advisory Board, and Anthony Barnes with my office. This team puts in many, many hours to help those interested in attending a Service Academy navigate the nominations process, as well as to review and evaluate those applications. And I'm also very grateful to our Service Academy's representatives for taking the time to be with us this morning. We're joined today by Captain Kathy Rogers from the U.S. Military Academy, Lieutenant Colonel Alex Wahl, and Second Lieutenant Wes Meal from the United States Naval Academy, Second Lieutenant Gerard Sanders from the United States Air Force Academy, Rebecca Luke from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, and Lieutenant Bradley Nelson from the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. You're going to get a lot of information thrown at you in the beginning in just a few minutes. These people know the nominations process better than anyone, and I'm so pleased to be able to provide this resource to students like you who are considering taking this step to serve our country. It's not an easy decision, nor is it an easy process. Nominating someone to an academy means entrusting them with representing our community at one of the most prestigious institutions in our country. Serving as a member of the armed forces can unlock a world of options for you in the future. You can go from here to serve a career in the military, or you can move into the private sector, taking the challenge of being an entrepreneur or a business owner. Or you can enter a career of civilian public service, like working for a member of Congress to support other veterans once they've returned home and make it possible for our next generation to find their path to service. That's something Anthony from my team has been doing, and he's been phenomenal with this nomination process and with helping other veterans. I know that it's hard to imagine right now, but you all are the next generation of leaders that our country will come to rely on. You all deserve to be commended for pursuing this path. As your representative in Congress, I want to give you the tools and resources you need to be successful in that journey, which is why I will now turn it over to our incredible guests to tell you more about the application process to each of the academies and to answer your questions. Thank you once again for being here today and for your interest in serving our country. Anthony, back to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We appreciate everything that you're doing for these future leaders of our country as well. Now we'll move on to our Service Academy Board Chair, Commander Bill Montgomery, with a presentation to talk about the specifics of the VA-10 nomination process.
Thank you, Anthony. I'll share my screen. As soon as it comes up here. Okay, you should all be seeing the presentation now. I am Bill Montgomery. I'm the chair of the Service Academy Advisory Board for Congresswoman Wexton. I do also have my colleague Ron Gerard on today as well from the Air Force Academy. We are two of the principals that stand up this effort for Congresswoman Wexton. Just by introduction, I'm a retired Navy commander, Naval Academy class of 73. I chair this board. My background was a 22-year career in the Navy as an aviator, flying the E-2 Hawkeye, a carrier-based radar plane. In addition to a bunch of cruises, I did overseas tours in Japan and Belgium, and a couple of tours with the Naval Air Systems Command here in the DC area. Since then, I've been a consultant with a company called WBB, back to multiple defense programs and contractors, which is a way of kind of giving back and making things better for the people and operators that come after me. Also, head up the local chapter of the Association of Naval Aviation, do some other nonprofit work overseas. All that's not by way of saying, look how great I am. This is just an example of a fairly typical career that any of you could aspire to out of any of the academies, regardless of your background, your social status, your economics, or anything else. So, my class, we have guys that went on to be 3- and 4-star admirals and generals, other guys that got out after their obligation and went on to be do stellar things in industry and government, everything from astronauts to CEOs. So don't limit yourself is the message here. Don't be afraid to aspire to great things and think about it. The briefing objectives here, just to give you a perspective from inside this nomination board process and give you some tips on preparing for it if you decide to pursue this. The disclaimer right up front, this is Virginia 10's nominating process. Each member of Congress, each representative and senator is free to allocate or award nominations any way they want to. Most have processes fairly similar to what we do. We think we have one of the best, but you will see differences. However, everybody's looking for roughly the same things, and what we're asking for here is very much in line with what the academies are looking for. So, first of all, I would say you need to sort of center yourself around selflessness and what the national military mindset is, national military service. If you read the papers, you know that after about 20 years and focusing on the global war on terror, we're now trying to transition from that back to something more like the traditional great power competition, probably with a new, different great power, China. But what isn't changing is the effect of that on peacetime and wartime military. For the vast majority of you, deployment will be the reality. You will be going places and doing things, and you'll be expected to sacrifice and do a lot of things to support that mission. So with that in mind, the academies are not destinations. It's not about Annapolis or Colorado Springs. It's a means to an end to get you launched on the career to provide this sort of service and the sacrifice and dedication is necessary to support it. Your military commission is not just about job security. It is about providing the mission and being able to serve and lead in the military of the future. So your oath of office is a serious commitment and is probably described best by Senator John McCain. It's not about life and death. It's bigger than that. So you'll be expected to do an essay for your application, and we're going to be looking for what your motivation is to serve in this kind of environment. As an overview, every member has a quota of 5 cadets or midshipmen maximum at each academy at any point in time. And that's for the big 3 DoD academies, the Military Academy, Naval Academy, and Air Force Academy. There is no quota for the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, which is actually transportation. So our target is to fill 1 or 2 slots typically per each of those academies each year. We don't want to fill them all in 1 year and not have anybody to nominate for the next several years. So it's usually 1 or 2 each year. This year it looks like we're going to have 1 for each academy, plus as many as we want to nominate for Merchant Marine. Virginia 10 is a highly competitive district, probably one of, if not the most competitive districts in the country. We get around 100 to 120 applications any year for somewhere between 3 and 5 vacancies. To deal with that, we screen, interview, and nominate 10 candidates for each of our vacancies if we have people that are solid and qualified for those. What happens is the top 1 or 2 of those get those nominations, and the rest of them go on to a national waiting list and often get unused slots. If nobody this year from the 3rd District of Idaho or wherever is applying to the Naval Academy, we often pick those up because we have such a wealth of qualified people here. Our board screens people for 4 of those academies, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Merchant Marine. No nomination is needed for the Coast Guard Academy, as you'll hear from their rep. If you want to go to Coast Guard, you apply directly to them. We have about 50 volunteers who serve at the request of the Congresswoman. We conduct our screening interviews each year from October, usually into December. We also provide liaison with the deans of admissions at those schools, and we coach and guide candidates through venues such as this. So what do the numbers look like? In 2020, we had 101 applications. We interviewed 92 of those people. There were a few that screened out or chose not to go forward. And of those, we nominated 37 for appointments to the academies. In 2019, we have not received all the offers back yet for that, but if you look at 2019, with 116 applications, 107 interviews, of that, basically 40% got nominations, and of those, 19, about 45% got offers from the academies. But that's not the end of the story. We got an additional 13 people from the district that received nominations from other nominating sources. Senator Warner's office, for example, or presidential nominations if they were legacies, who's one of your parents was career military, you can apply to the president. So that's pretty much the track record we get, which is a very successful rate for any district. So I'll show you a little bit about inside the nominating process now. How does our board work, the governance? What can you do to prepare for it? And then what are sort of the things that might make people stand out or provide the degrees of separation in the interview process? What you'll see when you show up is a host, myself or Ron Garrett probably, plus a 3-member volunteer board that you'll appear before. Those members will be cross-branch. We'll have one each, typically from Navy, Marines, or Merchant Marine, Army, and Air Force, with diverse background, breadth of experiences, demographics. We have women, we have active and reserve, we have retirees, we have active duty. Our approach is to get our eyes on you and see beyond the application data. The application you submit will give us all the hard data, your scores, your activities, hopefully your leadership opportunities. But we want to see beyond that and get some indication of who you really are and what the compatibility is. Is this a good fit for you? Are you a good fit for this environment? It's a competency-based 40-minute interview methodology that we look at a number of things which we score on in an algorithm of weighted criteria. It allows us to combine both the quantitative numbers we can look at and qualitative impressions of who you really are and what your motivation is and what you bring to the table. All our members on each of the boards reach consensus on this. It's not just everybody takes a vote and see what falls out. Key dates, the application will be made available next month, and September 30th, all those applications are due into the Congresswoman's office. We can accept additional data after that fact if you have scores, SAT, ACT scores after that fact, but we need to have the applications by then. As I said, we conduct our interviews October to December, typically Tuesday and Thursday nights, typically at Congresswoman's office. Obviously, this last year, these were all virtual, and we adapted this to a Zoom environment, and it actually worked quite well. Right now, we're anticipating that's going to continue this year. We'll keep our eyes on it, but unless there's significant vaccination across the board, anticipate a virtual boards for this year as well. Not later than February. Usually you're notified. Usually it's earlier than that. We try to do our scoring in December and get the word out by early January. But the nominations are due to the academies by 31st of January. So no later than that, you'll know if you got a nomination. Again, the disclaimer there, this can work a little differently depending on who you're applying to. What can you do to prepare? First thing is do your homework. Get on the web, read about it, talk to grads, service members, or current midshipmen or cadets, and know basically what the academy is about. What's its mission? What's the honor code or honor concept? So you may have seen the paper this morning, front page story in the Wall Street Journal about the honor codes and how they're being revisited at all the academies right now in the wake of a number of events. So expect to see increased emphasis on that. We'll ask you about it. Do you know what that's all about? What are the basic requirements to serve? What's the obligation once you've been there? Get an idea about what the service specialties are. What do you expect to do? Infantry, aviation, whatever it is. And do you know what the academic majors are that might support that? What's that first year all about? Typically called plebe year or dually or swab. It's a demanding year. Do you know what you're getting into? We'll be looking for your understanding of that. We recommend you take both the SAT and ACTs. Unless you ace one of them the first time out, everybody learns a little differently and tests a little differently. We often have people who have trouble with the SAT who just great on the ACT. We give you credit for the best you do on either one. Make sure you have community service or extracurricular activities that give you opportunities to show leadership. Apply for all your eligible nominations. You don't have to limit yourself to the district. You can apply to the Senate, although they get more like 500 applications there. And the presidential, I mentioned, if you're one of your parents is career military, you have that pathway as well. Unless you're already a varsity athlete, make sure you get in shape, because almost 3/4 of Americans in your demographic group do not meet the physical standards for military service currently. Clean up your social media footprint. Once it's out there on the web, it's hard to get rid of. If it's something you wouldn't want your commanding officer to see, I would get rid of it now. Try to conduct a practice interview with somebody, an adult. That practice will give you confidence and poise, and that lends credibility to your interview. Lastly, be professional. Wear business attire, or at least biz casual. And don't be late. Those things make huge first impressions, and they'll be important at whatever academy you go to as well. So what are we looking for when we go through this? First, are you poised? Are you prepared? And are you passionate for service? You really provided us some context, a face behind the paper record we're looking at. What did we get out of your military essay? What's your commitment and why? Do you know why you're going? It has to be about you, not about pleasing your parents or someone else. Have you demonstrated excellence in STEM courses? That's good. That's important no matter what major you think you're going into. As a foreign affairs major, I still had to take 3 semesters of calculus, chemistry, physics, computer science, and 6 engineering courses. And that's before navigation, leadership, and seamanship. Do you have quality coursework in your resume and your transcript, AP courses? And have you taken advantage of opportunities to visit the academies and learn about them through seminars, classes, sports camps, or even a candidate weekend where you can live with a midshipman for a day or 2 and see how things operate there? Look into other options. What's your plan B if you don't get a nomination from us? Think about ROTC at another school, officer candidate school if you graduate. Would you be willing to go to a year of prep school if you needed that to boost your chances? We make recommendations to prep schools as needed as well. And your recommendation letters, we're looking for letters that tell us something, that reflect the essential traits of leaders. It's not about who you know, it's about the character it takes to lead. Do we see evidence of visible leadership there? We're looking for diamonds in the rough, as I mentioned down below. Do we see that in anything you've done? Have you taken the opportunity to take on leadership, and how have you done that? And how do you manage your time? Can you prioritize between multiple competing demands, such as academics, athletics, and military activities, duties you're going to have when you get to the academy as well? Have you taken and passed the candidate physical assessment, the physical test? And have you really given us the ask for the nomination? Have you told us what you want to do and why? We'll always give you an opportunity at the end of the interview to tell us anything we missed, something you want us to know about you that we haven't asked about. So make sure you do that. Lastly there, our candidates are truly outstanding, but since extremely competitive here, what we're looking for is that you stand out somehow as that leadership diamond in the rough. Finally, I said it's not about who you know, where you're from, your socioeconomic station. It's not about your political affiliation. This is a totally nonpartisan process. It is all about chasing your dream with a selfless desire to serve your country. So it needs to be about your passion to serve. So first of all, take ownership of the process. You need to do this. It's not your parents or anybody else to get you. Don't create any self-limitations. Find a way to serve if that's what you want to do. It might not be the path that you want to choose up front, but there are other ways to get there. And take actions to keep your desire to serve in focus. Do you need to do things to get your time on the run-up? Do you need AP physics to get through there? Do you need a mentor to kind of help you step through the process? Find someone who's been there. So thank you for your time and attention. We stand ready to help you any way we can. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window or email them into the office. Thank you very much. Anthony, back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. One thing I want to cover, a housekeeping item. If you have questions, you're watching live on Facebook, please feel free to put them in the Facebook chat. We will try to address them at the end. We should have a little bit of time for a question and answer session. So thank you again, Commander Montgomery, for that. And we'll move on to the academies now. So starting off, the United States Military Academy at West Point, we have Captain Kathy Rogers. Welcome. Or, excuse me, Major Kathy Rogers. Welcome, Major Rogers.
Thank you. And thank you, Congresswoman Wexton, for having me today. And thank you to your staff for putting this on. I recently leveled up to Major, so it's not a big deal. But it's Kathleen, just as an FYI. I don't go by Kathy. I'm really excited to be talking to you guys today about West Point. I graduated in 2010, so I'm about 11 years out. It does not feel like it's been that long. So if you do come to one of the academies, time is just going to fly by once you do actually get to the academy and then when you eventually get into the service. So let's get right into West Point. I know we don't have a lot of time today, so I will cover what I can, but please do check out our website and check out our social media for any additional questions that you have about West Point specifically. Like our previous briefer said, It's really competitive in your district. We had about 93 open applications for the class of 2025, and we have 6 that have currently accepted and 2 more pending offers right now for this district. So it is possible to have more than one person come in per district. So keep that in mind. It is competitive, but it is possible. So we're going to go over this stuff really fast. I know it's going to be drinking from a water hose. Seriously, check us out. We've got all of this longer briefs on it on our Facebook page. So West Point is going to be challenging. It is going to challenge you in so many different ways, but we are going to build you into that leader of character that we're looking for to lead America's sons and daughters. Again, as our previous briefer said, this is about service to the nation. This is not just about you. This is wanting to serve a purpose that is bigger than you. You're going to be an example for other people from your area, from people all over the nation, and then ultimately from people all over the world. So if you want to hold yourself to that higher standard and serve the country, West Point is going to help to get you there. Like I said, we're going to challenge you. We're going to challenge you physically. We're going to challenge you academically, and we're going to challenge you mentally. If we do ultimately offer you admission to West Point, we think you have what it takes. Will we challenge you? Yes, but we have so many resources available when you are struggling to help pull you along. If you are struggling in a class, there is additional instruction from instructors. There's also additional instruction available from other cadets who may have struggled a little bit in that class or may have excelled in that class and are ready to help somebody else with the tips that they learned. So any way that you are struggling, resources are there to help you as long as you reach out for them. If we don't know that you're struggling, we can't help you out. But as soon as you ask for help, there are so many resources to get you to where you need to be. If you are offered admission, we think you have what it takes to do the entire 4-year experience here at West Point. So all of our graduates are going to commission into the Army. So if you don't know much about the different services as you are applying to all of the different academies, look at what you would be doing past the academies to see which one really is the best fit for you. If you want to fly jets, West Point is not the place for you. Sorry, we don't have those. We don't have huge aircraft carriers either. We do need great leaders in those services though. So if you want to be on an aircraft carrier, look at the Naval Academy. If you want to fly jets, obviously you can look at either the Naval Academy or the Air Force. I personally, not really big into boats, not really big into airplanes. So those were not the right place for me. We know that West Point isn't for everyone, but we will get you to the Army, okay? Look at all of the academies, look at the services past the academies, because that's really gonna help you choose if you're struggling to choose between one of the 3, and then of course the other 2 as well. So these are some of the different branch opportunities that you have in the Army. We throw up medical corps here. Only about 2% or 20 cadets a year are gonna go straight to medical school from West Point. But we do know that that is of quite a bit of interest to our applicants. You can also do a couple years active duty Army and then apply for a program that we call FLEP, which will allow you to go to school to be a lawyer. And then you would come back to the Army and be one of our JAGs, Judge Advocate General. We also have many different ways to change your branch once you are actually in the Army. So if you think that you're going to be stuck being an engineer forever because that's the branch that you got, that's not true. There are many different ways to change your specialty every couple of years in the Army. You just have to look for them. So now we're going to go about West Point. So we are located about 50 miles north of New York City. As COVID restrictions start to ease, if you guys are able to come up and visit, that would be a great way to get a look at our campus. So I think that we are a little bit spread out sometimes, but the furthest that you would be from during the academic day, underneath the word history, is actually our gymnasium, Arvin. And all the way in the lower left-hand corner, that's Mahan Hall. That's actually right across from where I am right now in building 606. I am at work today because the internet here is just a little bit better than my house. But that's about a 10-minute walk from Arvin to Mahan Hall. And that's the furthest that you would go during the academic day. In the middle, you see the building with the green roof. That is Pershing. That is one of our barracks. So everything is quite contained. We've got our academic buildings on the outsides and the barracks where our cadets live in the middle. You're going to be here living with your classmates, living right down the hall from the other classes. Our core is broken down into 4 regiments. Each regiment has 9 companies currently. They added I Company a couple of years ago. And each company has around 120, 130 cadets. So and each company has about 20 to 30 cadets per class year. And those are the people that you eat your meals with, that are your roommates, and that you play your sports with if you are not on one of our NCAA or club teams. So we do intramurals in the afternoons, and each company will make a team, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later if we have time. We have a lot of great leaders come out of West Point. So West Point, we are all about leadership. We will teach you how to be that leader in the Army. And then once you finish your time in the Army, whether that is 5 years, 25 years, 30 years, and you go out and to be that leader in the civilian world. We have Coach K. We always love to talk about Coach K. He does a leadership series and comes back pretty much every year to pay it forward to our cadets. So we are all about that leadership and continuing to develop our cadets into leaders. Our Association of Graduates is really big on expanding the opportunities that the Corps has for leadership, and we really do like to give back to our alma mater when we have the chance. So our classes are small. All of the academies are going to have very small classes, and you're going to get a lot of that one-on-one time with your instructors. At West Point, we don't have TAs. You're not going to be in an auditorium with 300 other people for your freshman English class. You're going to be with less than 20 other people and get a lot of one-on-one time and additional instruction if you need that from your instructors. A lot of people are like me. They will come, they will go get a master's, they will come back to West Point, and they will teach for 2 to 3 years before going back out into the Army and doing great things. We do have civilian professors that have been here for 10 or 20 years, and they add a lot of depth into those departments, and they'll teach the higher level majors courses. And then you have instructors that maybe came here for a rotation, like I'm on right now for that 2 to 3 years. They go back out to the Army. They're like, my passion is now teaching cadets, and they will come back as permanent faculty, get their PhD a lot of the times on the way back in, and then again, teach those higher level majors courses. So you'll have a lot of active duty military around to teach you about the Army and what your job would be like past West Point, as well as those civilian instructors that add a lot of depth into those departments. So we have 36 academic majors. We've got 15 minors. If you are looking straight STEM, we do have a lot of STEM majors, but we have more liberal arts majors available than the other academies do. So here's just a really brief overview of what the military training is like. You'll go through the same training by class, the entire first summer and that second summer, and then those next 2 summers are going to be a little bit more individualized. These items listed here are going to be done over the 2 summers, not all done each summer. It's just really where it fits into your schedule. There's a lot of opportunities abroad. We do exchanges with the other academies on a normal year for a semester. So if you really want to come to West Point, but you want a little bit of that Air Force experience, then you can try to do a semester exchange with Air Force. So we are looking for our applicants, just like they said. We want you to be great academically. We want that leadership, and then we're looking at your fitness as well. So here you see what we are really looking at in your application. We're going to be looking at your GPA, your SAT. I know they don't offer the essay anymore. We can't want something from you that no longer exists. So if you take the SAT, don't worry about that part. But if you do take the ACT, go ahead and take it with the writing for now. If that changes, we will let you know. We're going to be looking at 30% of your application for your leadership. That's your school official evaluations, math, science, English, and your physical education. And your extracurricular activities, which will also include your varsity sports, or if you were a captain of a team or things like that. Now, 10% is the CFA. So we have a lot of candidates that are like, oh, the CFA is whatever it is. I'm not going to worry about it. It's only 10% of the application. If you fail your candidate fitness assessment, even if you have a 36 across the board on your ACT and your leadership is through the roof, you are not going to be eligible for admission to West Point. It might be a small 10%, but that 10% is very important. So please take it seriously. We've got a lot of instructional videos on our website. The instructions are out there. Practice each event, practice them in sequence, really train for that CFA, because again, it's only 10%, but that 10% is very important. So we already talked about those nominations for the congressional, the service connected. All of this information is available on your candidate portal for the service connected. If you click through to your nominations tab, it'll tell you all the paperwork that we want to evaluate whether or not you're going to be eligible for one of those service connected nominations. Sorry, went a little bit too fast there. Okay, so before you apply, ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself if West Point is really where you want to be, because if West Point's not where you want to be, if it's because one of your parents or one of your friends wants you to be here, then you are probably not going to survive. You have to want it. You have to have that internal drive in you to really make it through those 4 years. So if that's you, go ahead and please fill out that candidate questionnaire now. Our applications will open more fully in June. The Summer Leader Experience, we're starting to send out our accepts for that right now. If you are just a sophomore and you're tuning in, that's fantastic. Next January 15th, you can open up that candidate questionnaire for West Point and you can compete for SLE for next year. Again, that's all the time that we have for West Point today. Please check us out on social media and on our website, westpoint.edu/admissions. We also have westpointadmissions.com, and we're going to have a UVisit virtual tour up real soon. They were recording for that last week and this week, and I hope that you guys get all of your questions answered. Please throw the questions up in the chat, and if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to us here at West Point, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I will be here for questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Major Rogers. I really appreciate your time being with us here this morning. Moving on to the United States Naval Academy, the academy after my own heart. We have Lieutenant Colonel Alex Wahl joining us today. Lieutenant Colonel Wahl.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, Anthony, I'll be talking about the Naval Academy. The first thing I want to say, the first two presentations that you heard today are dead on. I'd highly recommend all of you candidates going back and reviewing everything that Commander Montgomery and Major Rogers said, because it's dead on and that information is applicable across all the academies. So I would highly recommend starting out, even though I'm representing the Naval Academy, look at every academy as a choice. As Major Rogers said, every academy has its focus. West Point has liberal arts and STEM, Air Force has business and STEM, and the Naval Academy has STEM, and Coast Guard has STEM. So there's a common theme here. Science, technology, and engineering and math are important to all of us, but please go back and look at especially Commander Montgomery's presentation, because he hit all the comments that any of us can say, and he did it succinctly. So, well, welcome. I'm going to talk very quickly about the Naval Academy. I'm going to fly through this presentation. Ex Trident Sienta from Knowledge Sea Power is our logo motto. We love learning and STEM. So the Naval Academy has an 8-to-1 student faculty ratio. Our graduation rate is extremely high. And as Air Force, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine, we put specific emphasis on making sure you graduate. So if you're struggling, you're coming from Congressman Wexman's district, we have great schools here. And we're very fortunate that we have well-prepared students. But everybody has a weakness. And each of the academies, Merchant Marine, Coast Guard, we're going to find your weakness, but we're going to look to strengthen it. As all the schools, zero tuition costs, and you're going to pin gold bars on, whether it's an ensign or as a second lieutenant. We have 25 academic majors. We're good to go. So the Yard, West Point did a great job of talking about their school. We are a little bit closer to home, and we're on water. Imagine that. And it's a beautiful campus. Highly recommend everybody visit it once before you talk to your blue and gold officer, just to orient yourself to the institution for itself. Everything, as all these academies, is provided for you: medical, dental, clothing, and it is a self-sufficient community. So what do we offer? So education, benefits, pay, and career, same as the other academies. It's a common theme here. But as Major Rogers said, the post-graduation options are unique among the Naval Academy. You want to go infantry? Go Marine Corps. You want to go tanks or fly? You can go Marine Corps. And if you want to fly, you can go Navy. If you want to drive ships or submarines, you can go Navy. So we have a lot of career choices, and we embrace that. You'll have at least a 5-year commitment to it, as most of the academies coming out of. Moving on, I skipped a slide, so I apologize. The majors, as I've said at least 20 times already, STEM, engineering and weapons, math and science, and then we do have humanities and social sciences. There is a core curriculum, as Commander Montgomery said, that you're going to have to follow. You're going to have to take calculus. You're going to have to take physics. You're going to have to take electrical engineering. And that comes before leadership. So we embrace our core curriculum, but we embrace the leadership classes that we have across the whole spectrum. So the leadership classes are both Navy and Marine Corps to help better prepare you for a career. And I emphasize career as a naval officer. Athletics, must-see event, once in a lifetime bucket list, whether or not you go. Army Navy game, Army Air Force, Navy Air Force. We have significant varsity Division I caliber level athletic programs. But more importantly, we have club programs that we embrace. We have 18 teams. You have a picture of the cycling team there. And then every student has to participate in one of three, either varsity, club, or intramurals every day. You will be doing something athletic every day. And that can't be understated. Before you go to the Naval Academy, make sure you're not only prepared physically for running, pull-ups, sit-ups, and push-ups, but make sure you're prepared for swimming, because you do a lot of that at the Naval Academy. I know. So what's the application process? We've gone through all that. The one thing I'm going to lay out to you guys, and here's where I'm going to focus the bulk of the rest of my presentation. Your blue and gold officers and your officers, your candidate admissions officers, are really vital to helping you and support your goal to go to an academy. Leverage them. They've gone through this. I've done this for 20 years, and we understand the process and what is best and how to better represent your brand proposition. I ask you, for all of my peers who are giving presentation, please come to that first discussion prepared. Have a CV or resume prepared where you thought out and you have clearly done the research that Commander Montgomery said. You've gone to usna.edu, you've gone to usma.edu, you've gone to usafa.edu, MMA.edu, Coast Guard Academy edu. Have that one-page resume that has your goals and what you'd like to achieve out of the academies, and then your leadership experience. We do, and Congressman Wexton has been very successful. They do look for diamonds in the rough. You don't have to be the valedictorian all-state athlete. They're looking for leadership. They want who can represent the congressional district. So have your CV/resume goals, leadership experience, academic achievements, your AP dual enrollment classes, your extracurricular activities, your community service, your athletic accomplishments. Then get into what is your initial take, not one you're committed to, but what your major you want, your desired major, and then your career choice. If you want to go Marine pilot, fantastic. Let me know, and we'll vector your thought process along that. So please come to us prepared, and it'll make it a lot easier and make it a lot more efficient conversation. The numbers are the same across all the academies, and I'm delighted to see that Merchant Marine Academy is killing it. It is a highly competitive school. Coast Guard Academy is equally competitive. My son's best friend's going to Coast Guard Academy, but there are a lot of applications for these competitive schools in the most competitive district in the United States. 16,000 apply to the Naval Academy. 12,000 are official candidates. They get through the first step. The board whittles it down to 3,400, which that means that you've attained a nomination, a presidential nomination, a congressional nomination, or a Secretary of the Navy nomination. There are unique ways to get nominations to the academies. If you do not get in to the Naval Academy, you can look at NROTC. So I highly, if you're applying to any academy, please make sure you're applying to the correlating ROTC program, because it shows your selfless desire to serve the country. So we are not the only commissioning sources. The ROTC programs are equally as good, and they often have the same benefits, but you go to a civilian institution. Appointment letters, this district has been it's awesome. If they nominate you, they fight for you. So, Mr. Barnes, Commander Montgomery, Congressman Wexman, they're talking to their peers to fight for you, to make sure that they put our competitive students in as strong as they can. Strong foundation for my advice. I've kind of laid it out. STEM, take your SAT. I personally, and this is, honor concept. I did graduate the Naval Academy. I took my ACT and SAT 17 times because I wanted to go to the Naval Academy very badly. And I went to a year of foundation, and I took the SAT and ACT time every time from my junior year all the way through my third year, 17 times. Keep taking it, take it often, hit it hard. We are looking for well-rounded students. Again, if you're focused on one area, academics, and you're not strong athletically, and you're not strong extracurricular activities, that for us is a market signal that, you have to be a well-rounded commissioned officer. And any service situation that you're in peace and in war, and 99% of the time it's peace, but you have to be a well-rounded, thoughtful, strategic officer with great perspectives. And that's why we like well-rounded students. Reasons to go. You're on this call, so you know the reasons to go. So the last thing I want to say, and Major Rogers hit it awesomely, pay it forward. So once you, when she's talking about Coach K, once you get accepted into the Naval Academy, just like Second Lieutenant Mel, and I'm going to turn it over for any quick comments from him, but it is our responsibility to give back to the community that's given so much for us. So every one of these presenters have done their time, or they're doing their time, but they're giving back to the community. And that's so important to us. Again, focus on, go to the edu.edu site of the school that you want to apply to, read it, learn it, live it. All right, Second Lieutenant Mel, you have any quick comments? And I'm sure I went over my time, so thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir. Just real quick from me, I would say the biggest thing is when you go to the Naval Academy or any of the service academies, the taxpayers are paying for you to go to school. So this is something you need to take seriously when you're applying and while you're in the school, making sure you're performing and meeting all the things that are required of you. And then on the admissions side of it, make sure as the student you're taking personal accountability for your admissions process, whether that be working with the academy or working with your congressional office. It really does go a long way for the people that you're working with and the people that are interviewing you to see that motivation coming from you. You're the one asking questions. We can see that you've done the research. That tells us a lot about your interest and how committed you are, and ultimately how successful you're going to be at one of the service academies. And I'll be here at the end to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Colonel Wahl. I appreciate that, and Lieutenant Mel, I appreciate your time being here today and briefing us on the United States Naval Academy. Moving on to the United States Air Force Academy, we welcome Second Lieutenant Gerard Sanders. Thank you, Lieutenant Sanders.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Congresswoman Wexton and your team for having me today on this event. I'm excited to share with you guys about the Air Force Academy, my experiences, and just a couple of things. So good morning, everyone. I'm Second Lieutenant Gerard Sanders. I'm an Air Force Academy graduate, class of 2020. While there, I studied economics as a four-year football player, played outside receiver, passed an opportunity to play at the next level to be a pilot select. So I'm excited for that and going to go ahead and tell you guys more about the Air Force Academy with a quick video.
Lieutenant Sanders, I don't believe you are seeing the video.
Can you see the slides?
We can see the slides, can't see the video though.
Okay, well, it's okay. Well, it's a pretty cool video. I'll try to send it out so people can see it as well. Here's a quick snippet of the Air Force Academy, what is like inside the quote unquote black gates, what we like to call it. Very beautiful campus right there by the mountains. The Air Force Academy is located in Colorado Springs, about 60 miles south of Denver. So there's a lot of outdoor activities from skiing, snowboarding, hiking. Like I said, Denver's about 60 miles north, so there's a lot of good food in the area. The Nuggets, the Rockies, you know, and the Broncos are up there. There's a lot of great sports, the Avalanche as well. So a lot of good activities you can participate in as well. So here's a couple of quick snippets, events that you'll conduct as a cadet. The top is just the parades. You'll do all the service academies, just kind of show your military discipline over your first day of the academy to your graduation day. You'll be participating in parades. The bottom left shows different aircraft. Again, you're used to being around aircraft because you are in the Air Force. So there's just helicopter that will come in and land, and in the middle, kind of the field, you can see in the top picture, and you'll be able to go up there and meet the crew, get in the plane, and kind of see what it's like to, you know, be in a helicopter and be a pilot. It's a great opportunity as well. The bottom right is National Character and Leadership Symposium. This is a time in February where you'll hear from political figures, athletic figures, famous people will come speak to you and share their thoughts on ethics and respect and dignity. Also just give you some leadership tips to use in your Air Force career along the line. Here are some airmanship experiences that you will get to participate in as a cadet. The top is the glider program. The glider program is kind of the basic introduction to flying fundamentals. So it's a great opportunity to learn the basic stick control and how aircraft work in the air, in different environments. The middle is the jump program. This is the only place in the U.S. to where your first jump is by yourself. So you don't have too much time to be scared. You know, when the door opens, it's time to go out. I did not get the personal experience to participate in this program, but from everyone I know, they love this program, and I wish I would have got a chance to take advantage of it. The bottom is my personal favorite program at the Air Force Academy, and this is the Powered Flight program. This is where you're flying with an Air Force pilot, and you're learning what it takes and what the schedule will be like during pilot training. And this is what ultimately led me to wanting to become an Air Force pilot.
Pardon me, Lieutenant Sanders, can you unshare and reshare your screen? Unfortunately, your slides have frozen and we're unable to see as you're going through it. We were stuck on that last slide that you were just describing.
Yes, resharing them now. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's probably just a technical glitch. And instead of doing the slideshow, you may need to just slide
right here.
Yeah, just yep. Okay. And then you may just need to slide through. There we go.
Okay, cool. So here are the majors and minors offered at the Air Force Academy. As you can see, pretty much anything that you can think of is available here to some sort of degree. The asterisks, they indicate your minors that you're able to go into as well, and you're also able to double major as well. Like I said, this is a STEM school. There's a lot of great business opportunities as well, such as business management, economics, and different things like that. But a lot of our focus at the Air Force Academy is on the aeronautical engineering, the astronautical engineering, and the mechanical engineering fields as well. But like I said, all these majors are great. The minors are great. So you'll be able to go and study whatever you would want to under these. There's 35 different career fields you can go into upon graduation. About 50% of the class goes to pilot training. About a tenth of the class goes to some form of graduate school, as law school, medical school, or further mastering degree. Upon graduation, you do incur a 5-year commitment as a commissioned officer. So upon graduation, you'll commission as second lieutenant in the Air Force, and you'll go into your career field after that. So how are we going to get started? You're going to go to academymissions.com. That's going to be your best friend throughout the whole application process. The application opens in your second semester of your junior year. So it's open March 14th of this past year for juniors. And as long as you're under 23 before July 1st of the year you're applying to, you're still able to apply to the Air Force Academy. So that's called the Pre-Candidate Questionnaire, which you're going to go find on academymissions.com. On this, you're going to just submit. It's almost like a hello, this is who I am, and this is my grades. Then you move into the candidate phase from there, and then you'll begin your actual application of getting nominations and different things like that. Summer seminar is virtual this year, and the time to sign up for that has closed, sadly. But for next year, summer seminar is a program to where you can hopefully get a chance to go to the academy and be able to see what it's like to be a cadet for a couple of days and live that lifestyle. And the Future Falcon program is just a program that where you can sign up for and get and be connected with different memorabilia, different facts, and different merchandise that you're able to receive. And please stay connected with us on social media as well to follow any updates, any changes, or just get more information as well. I like to call these the 5 pillars of the Air Force Academy, and all the other service academies do offer this as well to some degree. So there's no tuition costs, no room and board costs. You're going to have full and free medical and dental coverage. It's covered in TRICARE, and then you'll receive a monthly stipend, and then you'll have a guaranteed career in the Air Force upon graduation. Like I said, you do incur a 5-year commitment upon graduation, but going to the Air Force Academy was one of my best decisions that I made out of high school, and I did not regret it at all. And I'm enjoying my time. I enjoy my time there and enjoy my time now outside. So thank you guys for listening and coming on today. If you have any questions, I'll be around at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Commanders. I really appreciate that presentation. Moving on, we move next to the United States Merchant Marine Academy, and we welcome Rebecca Luke, who is not only a United States Merchant Marine Academy graduate, but also a member of our Service Academy Advisory Board.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Congresswoman Wexton, and thank you, Mr. Montgomery, for allowing us to present today. Like everyone else, we have our first slide as our campus, and as soon as I can get there, sorry for technical difficulties on this side. There we go. Can everybody see that? Great.
Good to go.
So we are located in Kings Point, New York. It is just outside New York City on the former Chrysler estate. We have a view of New York City skyline, a waterfront like Naval Academy and Coast Guard and West Point. And unlike all the other academies, we have a dual mission, which enables you to go into active duty in any service. So if you want to fly, you can come to the Merchant Marine Academy. If you want to drive tanks, you can come to the Merchant Marine Academy. And if you want to be infantry, you can come to the Merchant Marine Academy. Our mission is to educate and graduate leaders of exemplary character, specifically to serve the national security and maritime interests of the United States. We were established in 1936 and permanently located on the campus that I just showed you in 1942. And unlike all of the other service academies, we are actively sending students into war zones, unfortunately. And in World War II, we lost 142 midshipmen. As a result, we are the only academy authorized to carry the battle standard. We were the first academy to enroll women, so we were the trailblazer there and continue to strive every day to enhance and enrich our student population and alumni base with diversity worldwide. We do have students from all over the world that come to the school, as well as U.S. citizens. What do merchant mariners do? For those of you that are unaware of what a merchant mariner does, if you drive through Baltimore, you see ships in the harbor. That is the merchant marine in its truest form. It consists of privately owned U.S. registered merchant ships. There is a global maritime industry, but ours specifically is restricted to U.S. registered vessels. We provide waterborne transportation for both passengers and cargo in the domestic and international commerce fields. And in the time of war, we are the fourth arm of defense, which is where our military foundation lies. The last time the Merchant Marine Reserves was activated was in the first Persian Gulf War. Many of the people on this chat right now were not alive for that, but if you ask your mom and dad, I'm pretty sure they could tell you about the first Gulf War. What do you get when you graduate? You get a Bachelor of Science degree. Like all of the other academies, we are STEM heavy. You will not graduate with a liberal arts degree. You will graduate with a Bachelor of Science. You will get an automatic commission into the U.S. Merchant Marine Navy Reserve Program. However, you are eligible to go active duty into any branch of service. And you will graduate with a Coast Guard license as a Merchant Marine third mate, which is the junior most deck officer, or a third assistant engineer, the junior most maritime engineer. Your obligation. You will work 5 years in the maritime industry or serve 5 years on active duty. You have a 6-year obligation to maintain your Coast Guard license, and that is a continuity license if you are not actively in the maritime industry. And you are obligated to serve for 8 years in the reserves. Whether you go active duty or not, you will have to finish that completion of the 8 years. Your 5 years on active duty, as I mentioned, can be any branch of service, to include NOAA. I have several classmates that ultimately ended up flying hurricane hunters for NOAA. If you choose not to go active duty upon graduation, this is just a quick overview of the things that you could do upon graduation. Everything from working shoreside in the maritime industry to working at the Maritime Administration here in Washington, D.C., or driving tugs in Baltimore Harbor. Our curriculum is based on a trimester system, which for those of you that are not on a trimester system now, it is a unique experience. However, it works. The academics are very, very hands-on. So if you're an engineer, you're going to be crawling around in an engine. If you are a maritime transportation major, you will be driving ships and working in the simulators. We have 5 majors, again, all STEM heavy. Marine transportation, maritime logistics and security, and then marine engineering systems, and engineering and shipyard management. If you want to be a liberal arts major, the Merchant Marine Academy is not for you. If you want to be a cybersecurity major, the Merchant Marine Academy is not for you. If you would like to be an engineer and do engineering, we are among the top in the nation. We do have graduates that graduate with more undergraduate curriculum credits than any other school in the nation. So it is a very academically intensive program. Of your 4 years, you will actually only spend 3 years on campus. We like to say that we cram a 5-year program into 3 years, because one of your years split between your sophomore and junior year is actually spent out at sea on a commercial vessel, hands-on, learning your academic curriculum. This is just an overview. If you went A split, leave that up there for a couple of seconds so everybody can see. And then if you went B split, depending on what sports you play, you may be in a very rare group called C split, just to make sure that you're on campus for your sport, but these are the standard splits. Regimental program. All students freshman year, after you make it through plebe summer, are sworn into the Navy Merchant Marine Reserve Program, and you do wear the Navy uniform and meet Navy physical standards. We develop fellowship and leadership skills that emphasize respect, honor, service, and courage. And like all the other academies, the senior class, also known as the first class, are your regimental officers. We have several athletics programs, and for the women, we're getting more and more women's sports into the lineup as years pass. The most recent is the soccer team. In addition to traditional sports, we have a waterfront program similar to the Naval Academy that includes capital vessels, offshore sailing, power squadron, keelboats, dinghies, and rowing. So if you have never sailed before, but you want to sail, we will teach you how to sail and you will compete in sailing races. Like the other schools, we have general eligibility requirements. I'll just let you read those really quick. Academics, physicals, DOMBER, nomination, all the same as every other academy. The admissions test, it says here, middle 50 percentile range. However, I can attest from both being on the Service Academy Advisory Board as well as speaking to students over the last decade that this is higher and higher every year. So don't aim to be in that 50 percentile range, aim to be in that 90 percentile range because we are very, very competitive. Just a reminder, our codes are for ACT are 2974 and SAT is 2923. As mentioned earlier, the evaluation process is broken up over many things. 75% of your evaluation by the admissions office is going to be based off of your academics. The other 25% is made up of your school evaluations and your athleticism. Unlike the other schools, we are not pushing you to be in an athletic program. However, that does build leadership skills that you can't get in other areas. So if you are an athlete, that is encouraged. If you have the opportunity to be part of an athletic program, whether that's through a junior league in the area or school, please consider doing so. Because at the end of the day, we still have to take the candidate fitness assessment as well. And like mentioned earlier, if you fail, and that does impact your overall score. Practice, 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 and practice it together. Medical qualifications, if you need to start this early because if you don't and you need a waiver, you reduce the amount of time it is for you to get that waiver. Unfortunately, if you are red or green colorblind, you will have an issue getting into the academy because you need to be able to see both colors for Coast Guard licensing. All right, nomination. Where the Merchant Marine Academy is different from all the other academies is most distinctly outlined in the nomination process. Everyone is eligible for 3 nominations from their 2 senators and a representative. That holds true across all the academies. Because we are not a Department of Defense school, but rather a Department of Homeland Security school, we are not eligible for presidential, vice presidential nominations. However, Code of Federal Regulations does open up any congressional district in the state of Virginia for those that are actively seeking a nomination. What does that mean? That means that you come from VA-10 and you are in a very, very competitive district. If the Merchant Marine Academy, heavy emphasis on if, is your dream, seek out nominations from other congressional representatives in the state of Virginia because you are eligible. Please, 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 as somebody that sits on the Service Academy board, do not request a nomination from a district if this is not where you want to go. Many hours and many efforts are put into weeding out those diamonds in the rough, and you do not want to waste another district's time for something that you're doing on a whim. Be aggressive in doing so and make sure that you are putting your absolute best foot forward. Our application will open on 1 May. Until then, unfortunately, what our current standards will be regarding SATs and ACTs are still up in the air, but watch for when that opens up because that will be the final guidance. Right now, we are actively encouraging you, if you are able to get a test date, to take that test date because the intent is to count those scores if able. The deadline is the February 1st of the following year. So February 1st of your senior year is when you want to make sure you have everything in. A quick timeline, you've seen it before, you'll see it again. Mission strategy, nothing new here. Take chemistry, physics, calculus, practice for your CFA, decide what's right for you, not mom and dad. Class of 2023 is the last stats that I have, and as I mentioned earlier, you can see that the scores are pretty high on those SATs, so you want to make sure that you're up there in the top percentiles. And if you have any questions, please seek out our page, www.usmma.edu/admissions. Contact the admissions office or post a question in the bottom of the chat, and we will try to get it answered at the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate that. And please consider the Merchant Marine Academy. There are a lot of great programs there. Moving on to our final academy, we welcome Lieutenant Bradley Nelson for the United States Coast Guard Academy. Lieutenant Nelson.
Thanks, Mr. Barnes. Okay, can you see my screen good, Anthony?
Yep, you are good to go.
Great. Well, I just want to thank again
Congressman
Wexton and Commander Montgomery, Mr. Barnes, for putting us on today, kind of investing in you and your future, as future kind of leaders of characters of this nation. I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here today just to learn about your opportunities as you kind of get yourself prepared for the next year or two ahead of you. With that, Lieutenant Brad Nelson, I'm the Mid-Atlantic Admissions Officer for the United States Coast Guard Academy. I'm a 2013 graduate of the Academy, came from Tampa, Florida. I've had a great kind of young career so far, out in the fleet, serving time aboard different cutters, getting to spend time here in Connecticut, helping run a search and rescue command center, doing search and rescue, law enforcement, emergency response, just a great host of different missions the Coast Guard has to offer. I'm now a admissions officer where I've been in the Mid-Atlantic region for the last 2 years. I served as an advisor and a mentor and a resource in this process for you. Many of us have all been in your shoes at one point or another and know what it's like to go through this process. So we look forward to working with you as you kind of, again, jump into this process here over the next year. A little about the Coast Guard. We're a multi-mission maritime service, part of the nation's 6th Armed Forces. Our goal is to protect the people, the public, and our economic interests, including our environment. We are considered to be kind of the world's premier Coast Guard. Our goal is to ensure our nation's safety, security, and stewardship, and we're both a humanitarian service as well as a law enforcement agency and a regulatory authority. Again, I think the biggest thing here to highlight is that we're a humanitarian service. Our goal is to help others. So, you know, yes, we're going to serve both in times of peace and in war, but day to day, we are first responders in times of crisis. So we're often the ones out in the front lines helping people in times of national disasters and turbulence. So it could be everything from a search and rescue case to helping during hurricane season to environmental disasters. We're often, you know, right now, currently we've got cutters deployed around the world who are doing drug interdiction missions, law enforcement missions, breaking ice. We're intercepting illegal migrants. We've got kind of a worldwide footprint, but the majority of our presence here is stateside. Here's some of our different statutory missions. On an average day, the Coast Guard conducts, you know, really hundreds of search and rescue cases, intercepts thousands of pounds of drugs. We're doing fishery boardings, you know, ensuring that we've got a regulated fish stock across the nation. We're responding to pollution incidents. So it's a very hands-on operational day. Each day is going to be different. The missions, you know, relatively the same, but you never know what could happen on a day's watch or when you're out at sea. Again, you're kind of that frontline responder. A little bit about the Academy. Again, you'll find these statistics fairly similar across all the different service academies, but we are traditionally the smallest of the 5 federal service academies, just a little over 1,000 students enrolled. We have just this incoming class right around 42% female, and overall kind of the class GPA, SAT, again, you're going to find that pretty competitive and similar amongst all the different service academies. Again, selective, this year's class right around a 13% selection rate. So I put that out there so that you know that the level of excellence that we're looking for in candidates. We don't, again, require congressional nomination. And then, you know, overall, you've got opportunities to go to flight school upon graduation if you wish, or you can go to a cutter or a ship after graduation. We always like to share that, you know, we've got a pretty high retention rate. Just around 85% of our junior officers will stay beyond the 5-year service obligation. So for those worried, you know, yes, there is a commitment after graduation, but reality is when you're joining a service, you're really joining it with the kind of passion, the intentions that this might be something you might do for many years beyond that. We're situated up in New London, Connecticut, 100 acres. We definitely welcome you to come up on campus to see things. Recommend visiting all the service academies, get a good feel for what each academy has to offer. Do your homework. Each service academy is going to have, its own little unique things about it. Overall, I think you're going to find them very competitive amongst all the elite institutions that this nation has to offer for higher education and STEM educations. Overall, #1 regional college in the North. Definitely, again, do your homework on what you're looking for in a service academy, in your academic majors, because that might help guide you in one direction or the other. We've got 9 academic majors. Again, primary emphasis here being STEM. So do your homework. We're looking for technically minded students to help solve technically minded, challenges that this nation has to offer. So if you're not, that's okay. I was a management major. There are options for you, but you definitely need to have that strong STEM background. Get into calc, get into physics, get into chemistry, while the opportunity allows now, so that by senior year, you're rocking and rolling with your coursework. Overall, it's a 200-week curriculum. It's leadership driven. It's a cadet regimental system of progressive challenge and responsibility and accountability. Again, all service academies have an honor concept, a service exchange program. And the big thing is you're going to spend each summer out in the fleet. So you're going to be spending time aboard our boat, our cutter, a bark Eagle, or sailing ship. You're going to spend time out in our Coast Guard units. Just talking to cadets yesterday, some are going, down to Puerto Rico, some are going to Alaska, Hawaii, California, internships. They're taking the Eagle from Iceland, sailing it back here. So it's really an opportunity to get out, see the Coast Guard, get that hands-on training, start developing yourself, so upon graduation, you're ready to integrate right out into the fleet. You'll definitely have some opportunities for internships if you want to do that instead. And then, again, really can't stress the fact enough that it's a hands-on learning environment. It's a theory-based classroom environment where you're going to be out in our simulators, on our waterfront assets, on our Coast Guard cutters, ships, and aircrafts, getting that hands-on experience. Here we've got our Coast Guard, we've got our simulators, our bridge simulators, state-of-the-art, really considered the best in the world. Just did a $3 million upgrade on them. Awesome experience to get your hands-on kind of experience and start to learn how to navigate cutters, especially if you don't have any seagoing experience of any kind. This is a great way to kind of get your feet wet and grounded. We've got around 24 NCAA sports. So definitely, if you've got an interest, reach out to the coaches, get on their radar now, so that they can see your interest and your passion. They can start getting film on you. So definitely start that engagement now if you think you want to play a collegiate sport. We've got right around 66% of the cadets right now who are doing NCAA sports, highest college in the country that has that small body with such large participation. Again, the continuous themes here is that we want you involved. We want you to do activities. You're not just going back to your dorm room to take a nap at the end of the day. You're going to be involved in, your clubs and activities and sports. You're going to be really an integral part of that kind of academy community and that experience that we want you to experience. And then just right around 50 cadet activities, so you'll definitely find something. I did the snow and ski club, I did the surf club. You'll find things that really speak to you, and then maybe you'll get out of your comfort zone and find some new things. That was underwater hockey. I mean, there's something that cadets are always creating every day. Plenty of cadet activities, again, that you can kind of find to be a part of. It could be rugby, it could be shooting, might be water polo. So find those activities. If you can put those on your activities page or your resume, we definitely encourage you to do that. We want to see how you're going to fit into the academy community. Typical days can be very similar amongst all the service academies, very similar to what you're doing now. You're going to be getting up early, you're going to be going to classes, you're going to be going to classes again. Lots of time is going to be spent in the academic rooms. But overall, though, it is very much a traditional college kind of military environment where it's an academic setting, throughout the day. And then afternoon and evening, it's going to be usually sports or band and, of course, plenty of studying. Here's kind of the 3 pillars that service academies are looking for, kind of the 3-legged stool here: academics, leadership, and athletics. Academics are going to take the good 60 to 70% of the majority here, but we want a well-rounded applicant. So definitely try to showcase all of these different talents and skills and the involvement you've got in your community. Make sure all of that is captured, ideally on a resume or an activities page, really in throughout your 30 or 40 page application that you'll have. But again, you've got to kind of cover all the bases here on these different pillars. For those who are sophomores listening to this program come next year, definitely sign up. Each service academies offer a 1-week summer program. We definitely welcome you to do that. We take a number of our students from this program for appointees every year. A great way to come up, experience the academy firsthand, try it out, try it before you buy it. Make sure it's a good fit for you. Very similar application process. We're going to open up here mid-July. go on throughout, pretty much till January. You'll have that entire time window to apply. And then, you've got different options. There's always scholars or prep opportunities for those students who maybe think they're not just quite ready academically. But again, reach out to your admission staff if you've got questions about the academic requirements or application requirements, whatever it might be. They're very similar amongst all the service academies. The biggest piece of advice here, as mentioned by Naval Academy, is own it. Take the initiative. We want students who are upfront, starting early, who are aggressive in the process. We love you, mom and dad, who might be with us today. You're welcome to join the phone calls and help, throughout the process, support your daughter or son in this process. But we really want to hear from them and see them take this initiative, because it's really part of their own professional growth and development throughout this journey. So with that, I appreciate you guys joining us here today. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about the Coast Guard Academy. I welcome you to visit our website. We have an admissions brief every week with admissions officers. Come and join us for one of those. Much more informative. We can get more intimate with your questions, but I look forward to hearing your questions here this afternoon. Thank you. Go Bears and beat Kings Point.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Nelson. I appreciate your presentation there. So let's take a few minutes here, move on to some questions. We've got some that were sent in the chats, and we've got some that were sent earlier. So the first one was a great question, and this can be directed at any of the academies and also to our Service Academy Advisory Board. Is it more important for the service academies to be involved in several activities, Eagle Scouts, crew, good GPA, or really good at one activity?
I can take that. From the Merchant Marine Academy's perspective, and I would venture everyone's perspective, we're looking for well-rounded. Be good at it all, because that's what you're competing with. Given the opportunity to excel across the board and gain a couple leadership experiences in those and demonstrate that you are a leader, we would rather you demonstrate that you are a leader than be a participant in everything. So yes, but gear it towards the leadership side of things when you are considering what to spread yourself thin across.
Agreed.
Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate that. All right. So this will be a question for Commander Montgomery. I have grandparents living in Gainesville, Virginia. I'm currently a dependent attached to U.S. diplomatic mission abroad. Since my registered address is attached to an embassy, who do I request a nomination from? Who's available to help guide me through my process considering I am currently abroad?
Good question. We might have to confirm that, but generally speaking, it's whatever your home record is if you're abroad. When I was serving abroad, my home record was the courthouse in Pensacola, Florida. So that's where I would have gone back to. I think that pretty much applies across the board.
Yeah, in our past, this past year we didn't have anyone, but 2 years ago we had several candidates that were serving overseas, and that is a big thing within our district. We have a lot of folks who are permanently here, but are maybe stationed overseas. So feel free to reach out to us in our district, and we can either take you in our process or guide you to where you need to be.
Hey, Anthony, if I could just add a point too.
Please.
I also used to be an Air Force Academy liaison officer years ago. And I remember specifically, I have one student whose father was an active duty. He was Air Force colonel at the Pentagon, but his home record was in Pennsylvania. So from the nomination perspective, not only should he have applied for the nomination from that central Pennsylvania district, but it could be an advantage in terms of how competitive that district is for a nomination. We encouraged him, and he did. He got a nomination through that central district. He didn't get an appointment overall, but it was from a competition standpoint, as has been saying out throughout the hours today. If you can compete for a nomination in an area that is not as competitive as Northern Virginia, highly recommend it. If it's, obviously it's got to be legal and on the board, but yeah, I recommend that for sure.
And coming from central Pennsylvania, I can tell you that is true.
Nothing against central Pennsylvania.
Nothing wrong with my home state, but this district is tough. Next question: is there a limit to how many military academies I can apply to, and if so, how many. So I can't speak to the application process. I won't do that. I'll leave that up to the academies. But I will say, from a nomination perspective, our district only accepts an application for nomination to one of either the Naval Academy, Military Academy, or Air Force Academy. And you can apply to the Merchant Marine Academy, but you can only apply to those two. You can't apply to the Air Force Academy and the Military Academy. So you can apply to one of the three and the Merchant Marine Academy, or just one of the three. But that's for a nomination. Now, application to the actual academies, I'll let you all speak on that.
I will add one point. If you have a parent or another nomination source, such as presidential nomination, I'd highly encourage you to look at other appointment sources. So you can apply if you have a presidential nomination. You can apply to Air Force Academy and Naval Academy. And I came from a competitive district, and I was accepted to Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy, so I had choices. But I'd like to also caveat that ROTC is an exceptional commissioning source. So not only the academies, which again, you're not going to have a bad choice among the crowd here, but ROTC is a definite, you must look at that as well.
And I'm glad you brought up the ROTC program. And normal Academy Day, we would have all of the programs here with us. Obviously, being internet-based, it's a little bit more difficult. Hopefully next year we'll get back to the in-person. But as far as ROTC programs go, we actually have a fantastic partnership with George Mason University, where our number 11 and 12 candidates that qualify for the Academy, for the United States Military Academy, are automatically considered for the ROTC scholarship through George Mason. So that's something, if you have questions on that, we can talk offline, and I'll provide you with my contact information after. So the next question, and this is very applicable to the times. How are internet-based diploma and internet-based courses viewed by the Service Academy versus traditional diplomas and courses?
I can try to answer that one. So what we're looking for most on your diploma is your classes. So I want to see trig or pre-calc or higher for your math. I want to see several years of English, and I want to see at least physics and or chemistry for your science. It doesn't matter if you take it through a community college. It doesn't matter if you take it through your local high school or an internet high school. It's really about the types of credits that you are earning for that diploma. But then where you start to see the possible issues are the leadership opportunities. So as long as you are involved in things like Boys or Girls Scouts or just Scouts, I think Boys Scouts is changing their name, I'm not entirely sure. As long as you are able to do other leadership things or play sports on a club level, that is where your application may suffer the most if you are not in a traditional high school. So the courses, it's fine. It's where the leadership may fall into that you might disadvantage yourself if you choose to go that route, if you don't have other areas of leadership. That's not to say it's not possible. We have plenty of people that are homeschooled that are competitive and gain admission every single year. You just have to be a little bit more creative in ways to find leadership versus like your student body president.
We really do.
That would also make the athletic side more challenging too.
Yeah. We do look at the whole candidate. So it's the whole spectrum. So be creative if you're doing internet, or if you're, there are volunteer opportunities, community service opportunities, church. Just seek out. Major Rogers was dead on again. Seek out opportunities to demonstrate leadership across the board, because it's not only academics, it is the whole candidate. Because when you get in any leadership situation, it's not who's smartest, but who has the most courage, who has the best judgment, and who's dependable. So those are the things that we look for in the leadership traits that we focus on when we're presenting our candidates up. So it's not only your academics, it's the whole spectrum.
And if I can make another point, I want to go back to the point Major Rogers made about homeschool students. I've encouraged our homeschools. I have access and know a lot of homeschool students, and I know one in particular who graduated from the Air Force Academy. I think he's 2 years ago now, or maybe a year ago now, and now he's a pilot candidate, helicopter pilot candidate at Fort Rucker, Alabama. So I guess the point I'm just trying to make is that homeschool students, have just as much of a chance to be successful as a normal high school graduate as well. So.
Excellent, thank you. And to echo what the academies have stated already, and this goes for the nomination process. When we're looking at the nominees, we're looking for a well-rounded candidate, and we also understand the nature of the times that we're dealing with now, where a lot of folks, either chose or didn't even have a choice, were forced into cyber programs or internet-based programs. So we do take that into consideration. Last year, we took into consideration the SAT and ACT score delays, and we're flexible on extending things. Hopefully we get back to normal this year, but we shall see. All right. The next question we've sort of already touched on, but can an applicant receive a nomination from Representative Wexton to more than one academy? Typically, no. You can apply to one of the three and the Merchant Marine Academy, but as far as a nomination goes, rarely do we see you get more than one nomination per cycle. That's for our district. Now, you can from other means of nomination through the Senate and presidential, vice presidential, things like that. Moving on, when attending an academy, is it usually recommended to pick a major applicable to wherever you would serve afterwards, or the major that interests you the most? And I can repeat that if needed.
I can take that one too. At least for West Point, your major does not pertain directly to what your branch is going to be in the service. Major in whatever you want. Major in what you are most interested in. If you are most interested in English, major in English, and you can still be an infantry officer. Sometimes you'll see that people's majors will line up with their specific branch. I majored in systems management, which totally lined up with quartermaster, which is what I ended up branching. The only one that it really matters for is if you do want to go straight to medical school, then they will need certain life science requirements. And a lot of them end up being chemistry majors or kinesiology majors. But for the most part, major in whatever you are interested in, because whatever you're interested in, you're bound to do better in, which will help your class rank and hopefully help you with our new talent-based branching program as well. But your major does not specifically correlate to what you can branch in the Army.
If I can follow up on that, with regards to the Merchant Marine Academy, you may recall I mentioned we have two potential paths upon graduation. For the military path, similar to all the other academies, your degree does not necessarily feed into what you will do in that service. However, if you do go into the maritime industry and that is your plan upon graduation, if you want to be a deck officer, you have to major in marine transportation or one of the subfields. If you want to be an engineer, you have to major in one of the three engineering paths. The reason for that is because upon graduation, you will hold a Coast Guard license in those fields, and you have to have the curriculum and the seat time to be able to sit for the exam in order to get that license, which is only achieved through your academic performance.
I'll add one thing to that, as I kind of mentioned before. Regardless of your major, at any of the academies, you're going to have a strong technical background that's almost equivalent to an engineering degree from many other schools. I mean, like I said, I was foreign affairs. My last three jobs, I was called an engineer.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Next question directed to the Air Force Academy. So Lieutenant Sanders, for the Air Force Academy, what are some of the admissions criteria? And I know we went over some of those, but if there's anything that you want to stress.
Oh, absolutely. So definitely your SAT, ACT scores are going to be a big piece in that sense of the criteria. And that can, like I said, that can be found on academyadmissions.com. And like I like to tell students, with that, there comes some leniency in different things. And I heard it before from one of the speakers, is that they want to know what type of leader you're going to be all in all. So a lot of your outside curricular activities is going to weigh very heavily in your application process, what type of person you are, what type of leader you are, how do you live outside of school, what community events have you organized. On top of that as well, I tell everyone that one thing about everybody applying to Service Academy, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said, is that everyone's smart. So that's something that's, yes, and look, that's something you need, but like I said, what's going to be setting you apart from everybody else is your difference. What makes you different than everybody else, and you can take that for however you want it to be, and that's how they want you to take it. You know, be creative, think outside the box, do things that will be cool. Like, you know, like do things that are making an impact. And all in all, that's my best answer to that. But like I said, for technical scores and things like that, GPA and whatnot, please go to academys.com. But more so, please think along those lines. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Sanders. I appreciate that. Next question, and we'll do a couple more here, and we'll get you out of here. Would it be counted against a candidate if they scored well on the SAT or ACT, but didn't take the other? Or is it always recommended to take both standardized tests?
I'll take that. It doesn't count against you if you take the ACT and the SAT and you get 800s, don't bother with the ACT. But if you're falling a little short on one or the other, take them both. Take them as many times as you can. We take the best you get.
And I think that's probably the same across the board. Next question. Our high school has stopped providing class rank. How does that affect the nomination process?
So Loudoun County doesn't do that until second semester of the senior year. And it's a frustrating thing for many of my candidates. Frankly, to me, class rank doesn't count as much as looking at the whole portfolio of what they've done academically. The Naval Academy will make their appointment decision based on their metrics inside. So it doesn't have any impact for how we as the candidate guidance officers, you know, whether it's your Blue and Gold or West Point or Anglo or Air Force, we really don't care about your class rank. I don't care about your class rank as much as I care about the classes that you've taken and the performance you've done in your classes. If you've taken a lot of AP classes and you've gotten A's, you know, awesome. But if you're balanced, again, if you're a two-sport athlete, club president, class leadership, and taking AP classes with A's, that's an amazing candidate. So class rank is not a deciding factor for us. And I don't know how the other academies do it, but frankly, we don't, as the Naval Academy, we don't really get a chance to look at your SATs. You know, we can ask you about SATs, but it's self-reporting on your side and to us. But the Naval Academy sees the official transcript and they see the official SAT scores. We evaluate you. The Blue and Gold officers or the officers evaluate you on your leadership potential and what you offer the academy. So get tight with your candidate guidance officers and understand what their mission is and understand how you can best apply your value proposition to the academy, and they'll help walk you through the process.
From the standpoint of the nomination process, we don't have class rank as one of our criteria. Maybe you're aware, Thomas Jefferson, one of the most competitive high schools in the country, doesn't even give a class rank. It'll come out in your scores and the level of classwork, the type of courses you've taken.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question. How many candidates are appointed or nominated from District 10 to each service academy for the class of 2025? I'll handle that question. So we nominate 10 applicants per vacancy. Next year, assuming vacancy per academy. Now that's for the 3 academies, the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and Military Academy. We'll nominate a total. We would like to nominate as many qualified candidates for the Merchant Marine Academy as we can.
Frozen, Anthony.
I emphasize the word district has a very high qualification standard. So we'd like to keep that.
We're losing you, Anthony.
Let's see, and 2 more for admissions. Hear me?
Just very intermittent, Anthony.
Is that any better?
Got you back, I think. Well, no, you froze again.
Okay.
Go ahead. It looks like you might be okay now.
All right. Can you hear me now? All right. My apologies. So I guess we'll wrap it up here, but there were 2 quick more questions. Are sports required for admissions?
I'll take that, Anthony. No, they're not required, but we do look for athletic kind of competency in you. You know, we look to see that you're physically trim, fit, that you're going to be able to handle the physical rigors of a service academy, the 12-hour day, the 20-hour day that you might be expect to be doing sometimes as an officer out in the field. So display that at least at a minimum through your candidate physical, test, your PFE, your CFA. At least have that demonstrated in your test. Even better if you can demonstrate that through athletic accomplishments on your sport teams. You don't have to be an all-star 4-minute miler to get an appointment, but again, you need to at least have some baseline physical abilities and demonstrate that to the admissions committees.
Thank you very much. Last question we'll touch on for the academies. What are the foreign language requirements, or are there foreign language requirements at the academies?
None.
None.
Perfect. All right, and the last question is, sorry? The last question is, yeah, there used to be. The last question is I'll handle here. Is there a recording of this? Yes. There will be recordings available on A, our Facebook page, B, our YouTube page, and C, our actual Academy website, which I'm going to share my screen here and put up a quick PowerPoint with my contact information and a little bit of information. So you can find us at wexton.house.gov. And any of this information will be available there. This recording will be available there. If you'd like, you can pause it and get that information. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and sign us off here. If you have questions or concerns that were not answered and you left them in the chat, I will collect those and I will send them to our Academy representatives, and they can answer them at their abilities, and we will try to answer you as best as we can. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. And also, I encourage you not to wait to reach out to ask your questions. This is a proactive process. This isn't something to be stagnant on. So if you have interest, please reach out, be proactive. And most importantly, keep in mind the requirements, keep in mind the process, and keep us all in mind when it comes to your decision-making process moving forward. With that, I want to thank every single one of you for joining us today in the live stream. And I'd like to thank everyone watching. And also, I'd truly like to thank all of our presenters today. They came in on their Saturday on a, kind of beautiful day out to spend time with you and give you information. And they are always here to help. They're here for us and they're here for you. So with that, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. And I thank you for being with us.